fun. Goodness gracious, I keep trying to remember. I feel like there's a couple more questions that I got that I forgot to answer. And, I was thinking about just how to deal with people. How have I dealt with people that, freak out or act crazy, because they're not used to seeing a dominant, assertive man, and not automatically thinking, oh, abusive, toxic person, masculinity, whatever, and seeing like an actually happy, proper order, functioning family. And I guess, as each situation has occurred, whether it was telling my friends that, I couldn't go where they wanted to go, I don't go out at night drinking and that type of thing, or even during the day, depending on what was going on with their family. If it wasn't going to work out, then I just had to say, okay, I couldn't go, or, sorry, I can't come up, see you, spend the night, whatever. For someone that's visiting like out of town. And, the women are, what would the word be? I think surprised, because they're not used to women, saying, oh, my husband said, no. They're not used to women not just doing what they want to do. They're used to women running the show, being the boss, wearing the pants, blah, blah, blah. And that they're the ones setting the ground rules, not the men. And it's interesting that a lot of women don't feel comfortable with their man going places, going on trips, doing this, guys' night, blah, blah, blah. But they expect it should be totally fine and understandable if they go and do things. Shh. So... I just am very firm about whatever it is that Daddy said. And here's the thing, I've fully embraced it. I mean, I'm, for years now, it's, Daddy's in charge. He's the boss. And that's just what I say. So it's just like a no-brainer from my perspective. It might not be, again, something that they're used to, which obviously is not. But my confidence in the way I live my life, my happiness, joy, sense of duty, respect for my husband, all those things, because I fully embrace it. I don't have a doubt or a question. So there's really nothing that they could go on as far as, sensing my insecurity or my doubt or my, seeing like, oh, she really doesn't mean what she says, or she feels bad or whatever. So that's proof that she's being forced to say these things, and that kind of stuff. How you feel about your role and the way you live your life and your husband is the most important thing. It radiates out to everybody else. That includes our family members. They've been very surprised. Even his own mother has been surprised the way that I treat him, the way that I serve him, do everything for him, whatever. She's like, he's got, 2 hands and 2 feet and he can go do it himself and that kind of stuff. On occasion she said things like that. Some women, they just don't understand, probably many women, the joy in serving. And she always did serve her husband. She always made sure he had what he needed. And, maybe she was doing it because she thought that was her duty versus enjoying the serving. But either way, it served the purpose and, took care of what needed to be taken care of. And she took care of him. But, it's funny. So the other thing would be like, the negative comments as far as, let's see, like, oh, he talks so harsh, or he's so stern, it's very controlling, and it's too harsh and things like that. The basic gist of what women have said to me. And I said, well, he's a man, and he's a strong, dominant man, but he's a loving teddy bear inside to me. So, he's very firm, and he's very direct, He doesn't mince words or beat around the bush. He just says exactly what needs to be said with some firmness so that everybody's very clear. There's no second guessing. Did he really mean that? Or anything like that. It's very clear. So, again, maybe they're used to men being, oh, honey, maybe could you please, blah, blah, blah. When it's more like, X, Y, and Z needs to be done or not done, period. So they're just not used to it. He does have a loud, booming voice. He doesn't tone it down because he's talking to women or children. It's just women don't seem to understand that a very, very strong masculine man can be, like hard as steel but soft as velvet. Literally a book written by the husband of the lady who wrote Fascinating Womanhood. I'm pretty sure it's called Man of Steel and Velvet or something. I have it. I'll have to put it back on for you guys to see. Great book. He's very much about a man's personal integrity, morals, ethics, your own personal development, how you're living your life, blah, blah, blah. I can't even give it justice. It's such a good book. Anyway, but he was talking about how men have that dynamic. And it's important for them, for the woman to be able to receive both sides of their husband. The very strong dominant, not take it personally, understand he's a man, he communicates like a man, he's not going to communicate like a woman. And I try to explain that to people. I said, you're trying to make him a woman, you want to make him like your girlfriend, it's not going to happen. And you don't want it to happen, you wouldn't be attracted to him. The softer side, vulnerabilities, sometimes feeling like I'm going to share this fear with you or this concern. Shh. She's barking at the people doing outside church today. Shh. Bella, no. I'm probably going to have to go. Shh. Hey, stop it. Bella, no. Goodness gracious. Anywho, the whole main thing is the fact that, first of all, if a man he opens up to you like that, you should feel very honored, and that is a great responsibility to hold whatever he tells you close to your heart. You never repeat it to anybody else. That is precious. And if you ever violated that trust or held it against him or threw it in his face, you've ruined that relationship. He'll never trust you again. So don't ever do that. And you shouldn't want to do that. What kind of person are you? But anyway, so, basically, it's really about you, what you radiate, how you feel about your relationship, how you feel about your role as a mother and a wife, and how important it is what you do. And the most important thing is that this is what your husband wants you to do. So, maybe you enjoy being a wife and a mother. Maybe you thought you were going to work or something when you're younger or whatever. But this is what your husband wants you to do. So you take joy in that. You take joy in doing whatever it is that he wants you to do. And again, I can't tell you the number of circumstances that have come up that I'm so glad that I'm here for a multitude of reasons. But mothers are really needed in the home. And doesn't mean you couldn't, do some sort of little work-at-home business or something. A lot of women are very creative and productive. They make things, or they watch children, on the side or whatever. I'm not very organized, and my husband has wanted my time for us only. So even though I did Herbalife in the past and things like that, I was a terrible time manager and very bad with the money. I was great with the people, great with selling products and helping folks. But he was just like, nope, we're not doing that again. So yeah, great products, still recommend it to people, but I don't do the coaching and stuff anymore, obviously. Oh my gosh. Okay, anywho, just realize that you're the one that is living a dream. You're living a happy life. When you hear all these women call in to, like, say, Kevin Samuel's show, and they say, shh, Bella, you know, he asked them, after you have your first child, do you want to work to pay significant bills? And like 99% of women say, no, I don't want to work. I do want to raise my children. And it's just so funny that they spend the whole first 10 years of their adult life on their education and their career to only turn around and be like, I really want to be a stay-at-home mom at like 30, 35, 40 plus years old. That's crazy. You have it backwards, you know, feminism lied to you. So anyway, I got lost because the silly dog's being foolish. But so, you know, embracing what you do is really what the majority of women wish they had. Only, 27% of moms get to be stay-at-home moms in this country. You know, not everybody has to make a fortune. If you sacrifice and you live within your means, you can grow from there, and you can make it. And it's worth it to live on a lower income or lower budget or lower standard of living, live out in the country and be there for your family. Then mom and dad are both gone, and you know, and you're barely getting dinner done, or you're getting fast food, or, you know, the kids, you hardly have time to help them do their homework. I can't tell you the hours I've spent doing homework with the kids, and it was really important. You know, that's not even to mention homeschooling, which I think is like a must today. You gotta homeschool your kids. Public school system is shot out. So anyway, you know, so, and then, you know, you give them a bath, kiss them goodnight, and the night's over within like 2 hours. Your kid's in bed, and that's all you get to spend with your child. Maybe 2 hours a day, and you're busy and you got to clean, and it's stressful and it's exhausting, and it's better to have a damn can of beans and some bread and butter for dinner than to have, you know, order some food and whatever, or maybe you have better quality food and nice shoes and all these type of, you know, whatever the trend is, but you have no time. And time is the most important thing you can give your family and your children, especially today. We have seen the effects of what happens to daycare kids. They literally, science and studies show, they grow up like detached without a conscience, generally speaking, because they have not pair bonded, they have not bonded. And maybe they call it pair bonding for that too, because they need to bond with one adult, which is usually the mother. And if they don't have that happen, like their conscience doesn't develop properly. So anyway, I've posted those studies before and gotten so much heat for it. And some of these women are engineers, and, you know, yeah, okay, they have real awesome fancy jobs, and they're, you know, they do volunteer work, give back to the community, Goodwill, you know, Salvation Army, all these different type of things. That's all commendable and it's wonderful, but that's really more for single women until you get married, or if you're part of the few that just never gets married, okay? Not everybody gets married, but the general population does get married and have kids. So I'm just saying that men would have more work, men would get paid more, children would grow up better, developed, well-adjusted, having a conscience, having a belief system where they're not being told in preschool that they're gender non-binary purple penguin unicorns or whatever they feel like being that day. So, you know, you are priceless in your home. If you're going to have a family, that's what that man wants from you. On rare occasion, there are men, they want their wife to work, you know, and it's probably how they were brought up, and just being like, it's too expensive out here. You know, I want you to share the burden. And again, maybe there's something she can do from home, or something that gives her a little more flexibility. There's medical billing. There's different things that are available. And especially during the pandemic, there was a lot of people working from home. So there's no reason why can't have phone answering service, or, you know, you take customer calls for a company and they have it set up so you can do it at home. I know people that do that. So it's possible. It's possible. And if you have to, fine, you go work. But I'm telling you, it is better to live a very simple life and not try to keep up with everything everybody else has. The majority of consumer debt and spending, 80% is women. Okay, so we're the ones causing this rise in how much money we think we have to have. Okay, so men are much more simple. Generally speaking, they don't need all the crap that we want to get and do and this, that, and the other. Kids don't have to be in every single activity. They cost a fortune. Maybe if they're really good at a particular sport, fine. But, maybe the family can also help contribute to that. So it's not just on your guys' shoulders if they're a talented kid in a certain area. But otherwise, I know a lot of people, they put their kids from tennis to golf to this to that, and they just keep going, and they're spending a fortune. And then these kids, because they're doing so many different things, they might be kind of good at everything, and then they never pick one thing. And then by the time they're done with school, they're like, meh, So, look, whatever your child is good at, you encourage them in that. But having them do 50, 11 million things is just a waste of money. And a lot of things you can actually teach them from home. Obviously not team sports, but anyway, to a certain degree. Our other neighbors back at our old place, the father must have been either a professional at some point or could have been professional, who knows, but he was one heck of a football, soccer player, as we say in America, and amazing. And he would take his son out there like every day. And he worked with, I think he did painting, like he painted houses or whatever. I mean, hard work, and came home all dirty and stuff with paint and everything. And he'd go out every day and play soccer with his son. And his son is now, I want to say, college, got a scholarship, and like one of the best. He is phenomenal. So, he didn't have to pay someone to teach his kid. He taught him himself. And it was just the two of them, plus whoever neighborhood kids, our kids would play with them. And, it was a very positive influence in his son's life and all the kids that played with him. So, anywho, oh my gosh, I'm so done. I love you guys. I gotta go, and I'll talk to you soon. But just be proud of yourself and proud of your decisions, and know that you're pleasing God, you're pleasing your husband, you're doing good things for your kids. Bella, I'm gonna get you. And you're doing the right thing. All right, you're actually making the world a better place. All right, ciao.